How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Yammy Noob. So today we're going to be looking at the MT03. I've got a lot to say about this bike today, guys, because as you saw by the title of today's video, it's the ugly, brutal truth of this motorcycle. And I didn't want to make this video. We've done a lot of cool things to the MT03, and in case you guys don't remember, this is one of our giveaway bikes. I've got the MT03, the SV650X, 2 Honda Groms, and a Svartpillen 401, which I'm going to be talking later about the Svartpillen 401. Click the link down below, go to yammynoob.co and sign up to win one of these fantastic motorcycles. We've also got a bunch of other cool bikes. We got a brand new expert bike coming along here next week as well. There's tons of cool stuff going on. There's a Harley if you're interested in that. So there's lots of cool motorcycles to get entered to win. But today's star of the show is the MT03, and we're going to be discussing why there's an ugly, brutal, truthy side to this thing, and something I haven't really discussed when we're talking about this motorcycle when we're doing a bunch of our vlogs and all this other stuff. So let's jump aboard, let's get on it, and let's get going. So, fun fact, I actually tried to record this vlog yesterday on my way back home from Yammy Noob HQ, and something that hadn't happened in a long time happened, whereas the audio file got completely compromised. So, the MT03, Yamaha's venerable little beginner bike, and it's a bike that they have to get right. So the first thing I want to mention about this motorcycle is the R3 and the MT03 platforms is Yamaha's, you know, kind of like their, obviously not their flagship, but it's their bread and butter is what I'm trying to say. It's their bread and butter platform. They need to get these bikes right, because what happens is this is the entry point for a lot of people to motorcycling writ large. And so what can happen is someone might go to a dealership floor and let's say they buy an MT03. Let's say they like their MT03, and then later down the line they want to upgrade. It's pretty likely they're going to go to an MT09 or an MT07 and stay in that Yamaha family, so that they get that experience that they know and love. And, you know, it's pretty often to see brand loyalty form pretty quickly like that. So Yamaha knows this is a bike they have to get right in order to capture new riders entering the sport, entering the lifestyle, the hobby, whatever you want to call it, and make sure that they capture them at the top of the funnel and stay them as Yamaha people. So that's the first thing you got to know about the MT03 is what the goal is for Yamaha. The other thing is Yamaha has priced this thing very, very aggressively. So it comes in at $4,599 on the showroom floor. That is substantially less than most of the other baby naked options. Things like the Z400, the Duke 390, the Svartpillen 401. It is cheaper than those motorcycles. However, the case I want to make in this video is that it's cheaper for a reason, and I think that you should save up and get another baby naked. As much as I like the MT03, it's a decent bike, but the problem is we've had to do so many things to this motorcycle to get it to be as fun as those other bikes are just off the showroom floor. A list of things we've done to this thing, right? We've done chain, we've done sprockets, we've done upgraded brakes, we've put on crash protection, which I recommend on most bikes anyways. But we've done all kinds of stuff to this thing, man. And there's still more things I'd want to do to it, honestly. It needs the updated throttle tube. The throttle tube is just a little too short on this thing, or rather long. Let me show you what I mean. Let me get this thing up in fourth gears here so I can wring it out a little bit without going too fast. So as you notice here, this is a fully closed throttle, and then that's fully open. Closed, open. It has one of the longest throws on the throttle that I've ever seen on any bike, and that's great for beginner riders, but none of the other beginner bikes in this category have that, and I think they're fine without it. You don't need a super long throttle. So yeah, I think it kind of sucks that when you get an MT03, you got to do all this stuff to make it just almost as good as some of the other bikes in the category. Like I said, Z400, Duke 390, and Svartpillen 401. And look, if you own an MT03, please don't think that I'm clowning on you for owning an MT03 or that you bought the wrong bike. If you like your bike and you're having fun riding it, that's all that matters. You don't need to have the most optimal, best motorcycle ever. You can have something that, you know, you like to ride, you like to look at, and that works for you. Because the big thing about this motorcycle over the other ones that I just mentioned, Z400, Duke 390, and Svartpillen 401, which I think are this thing's main competitors, is that This motorcycle features one of the most accommodating ergonomics packages out of all the beginner bikes. So much so that as a rider who's about 5'11", 6 feet tall with all my gear on, it's really tough to actually use this bike. It's so small. So this features a seat height that is actually lower than a Honda Grom, if you can believe it. It's incredibly easy and comfortable and friendly to ride, and you know, that's so good for riders who are coming in at like the 5'4", 5'3" mark, or maybe shorter than that. This is a bike you can totally ride and learn on and have fun with, and it's not going to feel intimidating when you have to put a foot down in an emergency situation. You want to stop your motorcycle really quick in a parking lot or something. I think Yamaha's done a very interesting thing in tackling this very specific niche in the market, and I think that they did that because they knew that they couldn't get this thing up to snuff with some of these other bikes and be at that same price point. You know, for example, for me, what I would love to see the MT03 be is a 399cc baby crossplane 2, you know, competing with more torque, geared a little bit better from the factory. I don't need something super aggressive like this bike has on it, but something a little bit more spicy, a shorter throttle, a little bit better brakes, and maybe a TFT. That would make this thing just a killer of a motorcycle for beginner riders. But as it sits right now, it's like it's okay. You know, it works well and it does the job. But it's super tough when you consider stuff like the Duke 390s, Farpillen 401, and the Z400, because each of those bikes makes more torque. They feel better down low. They are more fun to ride, in my opinion. Two of them have switchable rear ABS. One of them comes with knobbies and wire-framed wheels as well. It's kind of crazy that you get those features in a, you know, entry-level class bike. The Duke 390 has a TFT display, Farpillen 401, all those features, adjustable suspension on this Farpillen, right? So I'm going to tell you guys something. We did a video that at this point is going to be coming out 2 days before this one. I think this video comes out on Saturday, and then the video I'm talking about is going to come out on Thursday. It's the Farpillen Scrambler video. And so what we did is we took our Farpillen 401 down some sort of light off-roading stuff. We took it bushwhacking, took it down some rutty stuff, took it down some gravel roads, stuff like that. Just tried to see what it would do, and it was surprisingly well behaved, which is amazing, because something like this, the most you could tackle with the MT03 would be a light gravel road if you're feeling adventurous, which for, I think, new riders, they would not be confidence-inspiring to take their MT03 down a gravel road. However, the Farpillen 401 at $4,999 gives you adjustable suspension, knobby tires, wire-spoked wheels, all these features, switchable ABS at the rear. It is a more flexible and a more complete motorcycle than the MT03 for the entry-level rider. It's a bike that you can do much more with and learn much more with. I think this Farpillen 401 is an absolute knockout of the park. Perfect beginner bike. It makes so much sense for someone who's just starting out. It's got enough power to be fun. It can wheelie really easily, so you can learn how to wheelie with it. You can do rear wheel slides with it because you can switch the ABS off. You can take it down a very light trail and have some fun and learn how to off-road with it a little bit. It's truly an awesome, you know, dual-purpose motorcycle that can do so much, and it doesn't cost that much more than the MT03. It costs $400 more on the showroom floor if you can find it. I have heard that the Farpillen 401 is a difficult motorcycle to find on showroom floors, but I just think it's a complete knockout of the park for Husqvarna to have made that motorcycle. Now, do I think the MT03 is a bad buy? I don't think so. I would say definitely look at some of the other options in the category before you get an MT03. And, you know, I think if you're a shorter rider, it makes a lot of sense. It definitely makes sense if you're a shorter rider. However, if you're not vertically challenged, and in fact, if you are a bit on the taller side, something like this won't work for you. And I don't want you guys to think that taller riders have to go to bigger bikes because it's going to fit them better. I think that somebody who's 6'2", 6'3", should still start on a smaller bike just because they're more fun and easier to learn on, and you're going to be able to get more out of it. And I think that's a great thing for you to do. You know, something like the Duke 390, you're going to fit great on that bike as a taller rider and have fun with it and learn everything you need to learn. But something like this is just, it's they've pigeonholed it as a short person's bike so much that it actually hinders its ability to be ridden by a taller person. It's a little tight here in the saddle, and the ergonomics are quite compact for someone my size. So it's not great, to be honest. The thing that's a little frustrating about the MT03 is just how much you have to do to it to get it to be as fun and playful as the other bikes in the category, you know? Like stock for stock, this bike is just not really that interesting out of the showroom floor. Gotta put that exhaust on it, gotta get the sprockets on it, gotta do all kinds of stuff just to make it liven up the party a little bit, you know? I really think that the MT03 is gonna, you know, in about 10 years or so, be relegated to MSF duty, because this is such a fantastic entry point to completely learn the super basics of motorcycling. I really do think that it works super, super well to just understand those super fundamental things about riding that maybe are a little, you know, daunting whenever you start. Things like clutch control, throttle, rear brake application, slow speed stuff, counter steering, all that good stuff. I think that this is a very good platform to learn those basics on. It's super friendly and easy to ride. This is one of the friendliest little bikes that you can buy. And it starts up, no fuss, no muss. That's another thing as well that I think that there might be some concern with the Duke 390 and the Sparkle 401, just reliability. However, those bikes have improved over time. They're not, you know, horrible, wretched, unreliable things like they used to be in the past, and these Japanese bikes are perfect. The Japanese bikes are really good, don't get me wrong. Like, I feel like this MT03 is basically indestructible. It starts up so smoothly and perfectly every time, and that is something to consider if you're thinking about long-term usage with the motorcycle. You know, you want to have something that'll last a long time and be easy to ride, you know. I think the looks as well are a little polarizing, the MT03. I think that, you know, it's a bike that, unless you're really into this Dark Side of Japan thing, the little ninja bionicle robot face, it's a teensy bit polarizing. But again, I think if you bought an MT03, you know what it's about and you know what kind of bike you wanted. Again, not to dog on the MT03, but man, like, you look at something like this Farpillon 401, and for $400 more, literally $400 more MSRP, we're not talking out the door cost, because that's going to vary wherever you live. You know, adjustable suspension, knobby tires, a switchable ABS modes, like so many features that are just completely missing on this bike that, yeah, sure, you don't need knobby tires on this thing, but the Pirelli Rally Scorpions that the Sparkillon comes with is a very premium tire. That's not a cheap tire to put on a bike. My Desert Sled came with those tires stock, so that's a very premium tire. The Tenere 700 comes with those tires. So it's interesting that they're able to do that at that price. I just think the Sparkillon 401 is the bike to get. It is the bike to get. And you know, if you're not interested in gravel riding or popping little wheelies or sliding your rear around and doing the fun stuff that I'm talking about, I would have to ask, like, why are you not interested in that stuff? Because I feel like it's going to make you a more complete motorcyclist to be able to do those kinds of things on your motorcycle. It'll allow you to ride on-road more confidently, better, smoother. So if you are on the fence about, you know, riding off-road or doing that kind of stuff with your entry-level bike, I'd ask yourself to maybe take a second and think about it, you know. And the other great thing about this Farpillon is that it's approachable for shorter riders. You're not talking, you know, 37-inch seat height like a dual sport has. It's not a super aggressive dual sport, you know, like a WR or a DRZ. Those bikes can be a little intimidating for beginner riders because they're so tall, they're so springy, they're so, you know, built for trundling down trails. But the Farpillon can do that stuff too. It's not a dirt machine by any means, but it can tackle some light off-roading, which is cool. You know, I think that's super cool. So yeah, all that to say, I don't think the MT03 is a bad bike. I really don't. I just want to let you guys know that. However, I do think that you owe it to yourself to check out some of the other bikes in the category before pulling the trigger on an MT03, because I do think that almost all of them are better bikes than the MT03, except if you're trying to spend the least amount of money on a brand new bike as possible, or if you're a much shorter rider. If you are under 5'5" or 5'4", and you do not want to spend any more, you don't want to spend any more than $45.99 that this bike costs, then the MT03 makes a lot of sense.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. Why don't you click this one right over here and you can keep watching some more of your sweet Papa Yam. Maybe this one will have fun memes in it. Maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe I crash a motorcycle. Who can say? Maybe you should click and find out.